Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Wisconsin earned a number 9 seed in the 2021 NCAA tournament and will take on North Carolina on Friday. The team is already in Indianapolis from the Big Ten tournament. We have head coach Greg Gard, and we'll have a couple student athletes shortly after. We'll take an opening statement from Coach Gard, and then we'll take questions. If you have any questions, drop a little note in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can. Coach?
All right, thanks, Patrick. First of all, obviously, congratulations to our guys, and I'm really happy for them to get to this point, given the season that they've had to walk through the last 7 or 8 months. And obviously not having this opportunity a year ago has been very front in everybody's mind through this postseason. So really happy for our guys. Obviously, we've come through an unbelievable schedule, the best league in the country, and looking forward to playing on Friday. So we're actually in our testing component right now. We're getting tested and entering quarantine as we speak. So we'll sit in quarantine until tomorrow morning, be tested again, go back into quarantine, and then hopefully by tomorrow night, we'll be clear to resume team activities. Obviously, the opponent, North Carolina, terrific matchup for us. I've seen them only in bits and pieces through the year, but obviously Coach Williams is a Hall of Famer and a storied program. I recognize some names on the roster, and obviously the rebounding component, the transition, the things that North Carolina has always been known for years and years will be a point of study as we go through the week. But I know we're excited. Our guys we're fired up to know that they have this opportunity in front of them. And as I told them the other night after the Iowa game, it doesn't matter. I've been on teams that have been seeded 1 all the way to 12. Your anticipation, your anxiety isn't going to be different from 1 seed to the next. And there's only 68 of us left, and they're all very good teams that have had good years. So I'm just proud of our guys, how they've handled everything and gotten to this point in the season without any major issues. And hopefully we can get through this whole quarantine thing and everybody will come out okay with it. And we'll be able to start preparing for North Carolina in the next day or 2.
Thanks, Coach. We will go first to Jeff Patrikas.
Hey, Greg. Obviously, the rebounding numbers, I haven't seen them play that much, but their ability to get on the offensive glass, and you've mentioned that at times against Iowa has been an issue, giving up critical second chances. Is it going to be being physical with them? Is it going to be discipline, fundamentals? What are going to be some of the keys to keep them off the glass?
All of the above. I mean, we played them before. We played them in Maui in the championship game 4 or 5 years ago, the last time we were in Maui. We played them at other times, and we played them in the NCAA tournament 2 other times, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, like I said before, the ingredients of a successful program don't change. You don't see coaches very often that have been successful over the course of time. And obviously Coach Williams has been changing what they do. The names change through the years, but how they go about and their MO remains the same. So it'll be all of those things, Jeff. And that's what as we go through film and work on things through the week. Obviously that'll be one of the things that'll be of many that'll probably be pointed out as the coach that takes the scout will walk us through the week.
Next, we'll go to Jim Polzin.
I think a lot of people looked at your resume and didn't really know what to do with you guys because you had played a really tough schedule, but you had lost a lot of games to teams that are really good. Do you think a 9 seed is fair? Is that what you anticipated?
I mean, you never know, Jim, because there were so many Big Ten teams on the 1-2 line with 4 of them that they had to avoid, if at all possible, other Big Ten teams. So that can fluctuate what you really were versus what you get when it comes out publicly. So I really have never gotten too consumed up in it. And in terms of where you are, like I said before, there's 68 teams left. They're all good. You can make a case going every which way. And but I knew we wouldn't be the 8-9 with Michigan or Illinois. We would not be the 7-10 with Ohio State or Iowa. So, like I said, it probably minimized where they could put us. And we're just obviously excited to be playing.
Jesse Temple.
Greg, you mentioned how tough the Big Ten was this year. What have been the biggest on-court challenges to your team playing with more consistency in addition to the quality of opponents? And as you enter the NCAA tournament, do you feel like you found something here the last few games you can build on?
Yeah, I think really we played better the last 4 games, starting with the game at Purdue. I thought we had more rhythm to us. I thought we had a good pace to us and rhythm to us against Penn State. We did it in stretches against Iowa, but that was kind of a different game. It was, it was such a low possession game, which was what we wanted, but it had a little different feel to it than even the game at Iowa had. But, I think just the quality of the teams has been the biggest thing that maybe has been the biggest hurdle in terms of having us play better. It's you can look in the mirror to some degree, and we have to do that and continue to do that. But also knowing, as I've watched us come down the schedule, checking the analytics, we're playing the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 7th ranked team in the country. And I'm not just talking AP polls. I'm talking, the actual analytics that take the value of possessions and those type of things. So knowing we had this type of schedule down the stretch, you just got to attack it head on and learn from it. And obviously we all wanted better results and more success. But, like I said, I think the strength of our schedule has prepared us and got us to this point. If we don't have this strong of a schedule, obviously even in the non-conference with all the juggling we had to do, with what was going on with other teams, I think all of those pieces put us in position to have a strong resume and be locked into the field a while ago.
Go ahead, Josh Schaefer.
Yeah, Greg, just knowing UNC as a program, do you think slowing them down a little bit and making it a few possession game is going to be a big key come Friday?
Well, we'll see as I watch film on them, what the game plan will be. A lot of teams probably have tried to do that, but easier said than done. So, we'll try to, our staples will have to remain the same no matter who we're playing. And I'm sure they're going to try to do what they do well or are good at, regardless of who they play.
Darius Joshua.
Hey, Coach. You already mentioned that you guys were kind of already in that quarantine. Having been there since Friday, I'm wondering, are these just kind of the longest days for you, just kind of the waiting process of waiting for those results, with this obviously being the most strange tournament where you're already there all in one place and you're now waiting just to be cleared, just to get in action? Yeah,
well, I mean, we've actually been here since Wednesday. Today just started the actual quarantine. We had testing every day in the Big Ten tournament. We didn't have the lockdown that is happening with the NCAA tournament. So these guys have had to go through a lot since September, when they all came back and when you got them together to start the school year. Some guys that were back at the end of the summer started some testing then, but obviously the discipline they've had to show to get to this point without any, like I mentioned before, any major issues, any pauses, any shutdowns, is a credit to them and the path that our medical people laid out for us. Huge credit to our trainer, Henry Perez Guerrera, our doctors. They've all had a major hand in making this work and walk it forward. And, obviously this is different. This that we just walked into here in the last half hour is completely different and at a higher level than what we've seen, because we've never all had to be in quarantine like this, waiting on test results and those type of things. So I think the discipline that we've shown and what we've had to go through up to this point will help us through this next, 24 hours. But also, like I said, that we're going to continue to have to test through the week. We just won't be in quarantine after we clear the first 2 tests.
Let's go to George Bilecki.
Greg, now that March Madness is finally here and it's win or go home, what gives you confidence about your team that you can make as long a run as you guys want to?
Well, we talk about all the time. It's just the opportunity you have in front of you with the next 40 minutes, and that's all that's guaranteed. And I think this group has understood that as well as any group I've had, just because of what they've gone through. They're excited. That, like I said before, we didn't have this opportunity last year in either the conference or on a national level. So I think there's a greater sense of appreciation, and it makes some of these other hurdles we have to do with the protocols and the testing and worth it, knowing that looking back in the rearview mirror of what was going on a year ago, we were all dispersed home by this time, and the season was over. So I think the biggest things I told them this morning when we had our kind of our meeting to talk about the protocols that we're going to put in place. I want them to enjoy this, embrace it, because it's not easy to get here. And I want them to enjoy this week and attack it full on now, knowing who we have as an opponent. But also they put in a lot of work, more than normal, just because of all the hurdles that they've had to go through to get to this point. So I want to make sure they enjoy it and make the most of this week.
We have time for two more. Let's go to Carly and then Jeff Patrikas. Carly, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, with so many seniors on the team, is there any different emotions this year, being that, this could be it for a lot of them?
Well, I think again, it goes back, Carly, to what we didn't have last year. There's an appreciation of that, just that we get a chance, because we would have been in it last year had it all gone forward as normal. But I think that's the biggest thing, whether they're seniors or, a Tyler Walls, a sophomore, the freshmen don't know any different, but the other guys that have experienced last year and how that abruptly ended and the emotions of that, I think, and as we talked about before, you only are guaranteed the next 40 minutes in front of you. So you have to play well and do things at a high level in order to get another opportunity beyond that. So I think just the fact that we're here is a step. And now we'll use this week to prepare ourselves to get ready for Friday.
Last question from Jeff Patrikas.
Yeah, Greg, after we talked to you after the Iowa game, one of the guys we talked to was Trice, and he was asked about the lack of execution in the last few minutes of that game. And he basically said, hey, point the finger at me. I made some mistakes. I'm a leader on this team. I've got to be better. I'm just curious if you saw or heard what he said and what your reaction was to those comments.
Yeah, I did. And obviously, I obviously give him huge credit to take that ownership, but he's not the only one that owns it. We all own that. Everybody, coaches, myself, other teammates, everything. It's, we're all in this when it goes good, and we're all in it when it doesn't go good. So we had some other opportunities. It came down to those last couple possessions. But there were other things, as I always try to emphasize through the 64, 65 possessions that we could have done better, that would have helped in that outcome, and, all the way back to the first half. So, obviously I appreciate that and respect that on Meech's part to take that ownership as a senior and as a point guard and as one of the leaders of our team, but he should not shoulder that all on himself.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Thank you.
We will dismiss Coach, and we'll have student athletes joining us shortly.